Welcome to Bet On It. I am Kelly Stewart, joined by Joe Raineri and Marco D'Angelo. It is week 4 of college football, guys. There's not a lot to say. It hasn't been a good start for me, so I just want to get into it and get on with this week. Saturday, that's the wrong show. ESPN, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, Arkansas at Texas A&M. Texas A&M, a 2.5-point favorite, total 48. Marco, I bet against this Aggies team last week, and Mario Cristobal sure just loved to kick himself some field goals. That was not a fun one, but I asked you to put this on the big game breakdown segment because I'd like to talk about this Arkansas team.
Yeah, I know. You want to make one of our fans happy, Kelly, and whenever I'm done and kick it back to you, I expect to hear a suey, but we'll see if that happens. Before I give this play, just a quick recap, guys. The college football show, we have not been good. No question about it. Best bets, just 2-6-1 so far, but it's only through 3 weeks. We got plenty of season left. Fortunately, the NFL show's been good. 4-2 on the best bets. So wanted to give you guys that quick recap. And now let's head into this one. And it's Arkansas and Texas A&M. And I know that Texas A&M got the money last week. It wasn't pretty. But if you watch that game, and I know that some of my colleagues were on the other side, that was a brutal one to watch if you had the dog in that one. You should have got the money. I'll be the first to admit it, but things happen. And now that they got that win and got a little bit of pressure off of them, I like taking teams off of an ugly win. And that's where I'm going to go this week. I'm going to come right back to A&M. I know Arkansas looks like the popular puppy here. This team's played well, but you know what? Let's be honest. The first game, the Cincinnati game, they should have lost that game. And then the South Carolina game, they did score 44, but they gave up 30. And that's the concern I have with this team is their defense. And I think A&M, although they've struggled so far offensively, they did start a different quarterback last week. This will be the second start for him. I look for him to have more success this week against this Arkansas defense. I'll go ahead and take Texas A&M at the small number for my TV play.
I'm with Marco here. While I don't think I'm going to get to the window on A&M, I do have a slight lean here. Joe Raineri. Marco made some really good points, and I bet against A&M. I had Miami. I bet against Arkansas. I had Cincinnati. But sometimes you got to play the game out in the field, and that just didn't work out for me. Your thoughts on this one here, and will you be betting this game?
So it's a tough one, and it's probably not one that I would bet. But if I did, I would certainly split this game up in 2 halves. I mean, the one thing that we know A&M will be able to do, which is what other teams have done, is take advantage of the secondary by passing the ball on this Arkansas defense. Now, they're good against the run. They're also great at getting pressure on the quarterback. I believe they're top 10 in the country in both of those statistical categories on defense. But they can be had in the secondary in the passing game. So the question is, do we trust Jimbo and A&M to take advantage of the deficiencies that they have at the back end of the D? And I think they'll have success early. I think they got that game, against Miami. They got the win back on the belt. They wiped the slate clean a little bit from that App State loss. I do think there are going to be opportunities for A&M in the passing game in this one. However, the adjustments in the second half will worry me here. I believe Pittman and company will eventually get the better of the Aggies, but I'm kind of with Marco. I'm expecting points early in this game. Arkansas, we know, can go up and down the field. I expect them to score. The Aggies will give them a little more resistance than what Arkansas has been used to this point, but that's a prolific offense. Give me over 23.5 in the first half, Cal, of this one. I think the points will come early here.
Okay, first half over for Joe. A slight nod to A&M for Marco and I. Let's go 30 minutes after that game kicks off. ABC, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Wisconsin at Ohio State. Ohio State, a 18.5 18-point home favorite, total 57. I do think this one is going to get to 18.5, Marco, and I got a little ahead of myself there. Your thoughts on the Badgers in the horseshoe?
Yeah, Kelly, when you look at this one, the first thing that you're going to see is Wisconsin put up 66 points last week. That's not like Wisconsin. Of course, it was against New Mexico State. And then Ohio State put up 77 on a MAC team, Toledo, fellow little brother of the state there, Toledo, Ohio. They knocked them so hard, I think they knocked them back up into Michigan. But this is a spot where we're seeing a total of 57. I think there's going to be a lot of people that will look at this game, see those two scores from last week, and say, well, this is a no-brainer. Let's go over. Well, those were two patsies. They rolled over those teams offensively. Now they're going to get a little bit of resistance, and I think the big resistance is going to come from the Ohio State D. Now, granted, they've played Notre Dame, Arkansas State, and Toledo so far, but I have been impressed with what we've seen out of the new defensive coordinator for Ohio State. And I know Joe knows him well because he moved over from Oklahoma State. And he's made a difference on this Ohio State team right out of the gate. And that was the only weak link on this team last year. We know what Wisconsin's going to do. They have one thing that they do, and they do it well, and that's run the football. And against a team like Ohio State, you want to shorten the game. You do not want to trade scores with Ohio State. Wisconsin is just not built that way. So you know where I'm heading here. We got a total of 57.5 that on the surface looks too easy to go over. You might feel a little uncomfortable betting the under and watching this one, but that's the way I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to take Wisconsin and Ohio State under the total. And I really don't have a problem if you want to split it up first half and full game, because the one problem you have whenever you're looking at a game and an under and one team is a stone cold running team, you know, if they fall behind, they got to force the issue in the second half. And sometimes bad things can happen when you're forcing the issue. But I think Wisconsin can stay in this game long enough to keep this pace under the total. And I'm going to respect that Ohio State defense.
Joe, small sample size, but Bucky has just been terrible as a conference dog, particularly on the road. They've dropped 6 straight. I had Wisconsin on my long list for my barking dogs this weekend to figure out who could win outright, and they got crossed off almost immediately. This is just not a team that I think can go into Columbus and win a game outright.
No, you're absolutely correct. The problem is they don't have enough firepower to keep up with Ohio State, and that's just not on paper. That's in reality. However, Brandon Allen is an absolute train. He is an absolute beast to try and stop. This Wisconsin team will go as he goes, because I'm telling you right now, Graham Mertz ain't going to throw for 500 yards against this Ohio State defense on the road in the shoe. It's not going to happen. So I'm with Marco here. I think that Wisconsin's best shot will be to kind of stifle them defensively, and let's give them credit. Jim Leonard, defensive coordinator of Wisconsin. This Badgers team, they were only surrendering 246 yards per game on the defense. They are stout defensively. They're going to have to be. We saw Notre Dame, Cal, do a really good job on stifling that offense early in that game in the first half. They eventually pulled away in the second half. I think we're going to get kind of the same script here with Wisconsin. Their best chance is to play defense, keep the ball on the field with their offense, run the ball, have some success. Good luck with Jim Knowles as your DC now at Ohio State. I am sure he'll be setting it up where, Brandon Allen ain't beating us. It's going to have to be, Mr. Mertz over there. I don't see that happening full game, but like Marco, I'm in the first half with this. I'm looking at the under 30 and a half points. I think Ohio State will have the lead, but I think it'll be closer in the first half than it will be in the second half. Give me defenses to battle it out early in this one.
Great minds think alike on these big game breakdowns. Now it's time for the guy with the pin. That's right, Mr. Ralph Michaels.
Gianni the Greek has never had a losing calendar year at Wager Talk and holds the following all-time records. Number 1 all-time in total profit and boxing. Number 2 all-time in college football, golf, soccer, and WNBA. Number 3 all-time in NFL, MMA, CFL, and tennis. Number 4 all-time in the MLB. And number 6 all-time in NHL. Right now, you can lock in 120 days of plays for the price of $90 for a limited time. Head over to Wager Talk, save yourself close to $400 off the regular price, and bet alongside Gianni for only $6.24 per day.
I found my favorite guy with the pen, and I found my favorite handicapping pen back here for some TNA with Ralph Michaels at Cal Sports LV on Twitter. And Ralph, last week's college TNA just crushed it. I had multiple people text me or tweet me about how awesome it was. So congratulations to you on a hot start. What do you dug up for us this week, Ralph?
This is maybe the biggest weekend I've ever had at Wager Talk. For only the second time since I've joined Wager Talk, I will have a 5% college football play on Saturday and a 5% NFL play on Sunday. And what am I going to do to bring you on board? How about if I give you $20 off a 3-day all access? So you can get Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all of my college football plays, including that 5%, all of my NFL plays, including that 5%, for just $39. The code RM20. And don't wait until Friday or Saturday. Go into my homepage, click the 3-day all access package, use the coupon, and then you can click the 3 days you want. I'll be loading those plays starting tonight. And as soon as I load them, even though those games are Saturday, if you sign up today, you'll get those plays this evening. So RM20 is the code for the 3-day all access. The first two TNA trends I'm going to bring up may sound familiar. You mentioned last week they had a great week. I'm going to keep reminding people these are solid systems over a long period of time. The first, when we're looking at college football teams, games 2, 3, and 4 off a home loss by 1, 2, or 3 points. So you're off a close game, off a home loss. You've gone 93 and 42. That is 69% since 2013. A long period of time, a great sample size. They've gone 10 and 3 this year. Those two teams to play on after close home losses, Georgia State against Coastal Carolina and Temple versus UMass. The second system is another one that's going to sound familiar. This is any period of time throughout the season. If you are outgained by 120 or more yards, you won the game, and now you're an away dog. Those teams in that role have only covered 31% of the time as an away dog, going 17 and 38. The teams to look to fade this week that are off wins but got outgained: Bowling Green against Mississippi State and Hawaii against New Mexico State. And the third one I want to talk about are early in the season, games 3 or 4. So you're just getting into your non-conference schedule or starting your conference play. Teams off a loss as a favorite. Back-to-back games as a loss and a favorite are now a favorite. Well, who is that? That's Northwestern. Northwestern off rare double-digit back-to-back losses as a favorite. Games 3 and 4, those teams that lost as a favorite each of the last 2 games and are now a favorite again, have actually bounced back very well, going 27 and 11, 71.1%. Now, I do want to mention this about Northwestern. While I just mentioned that teams off back-to-back losses as a favorite and our favorite are 27 and 11, but I do want to point out since 2006, only 12 teams in college football, that's almost 17 years, have lost back-to-back games as a double-digit favorite like Northwestern has. If they've lost in that role, they're only 2-8-1 ATS. So I want to mention the numbers for Northwestern and then mention the specifics as a double-digit favorite. So I would throw that 10 trend out, but you can think about using it in the future if it applies to one of your games.
That is always good stuff, Ralph. I love this segment because sometimes you talk me off of some games and sometimes you give me that nudge to get on them. I'm going to be full disclosure with you. I have none of those games on my list. These are some obscure teams and you're really digging deep for our fans.
Well, let's go to the Jayhawk State, Kel. And, I know you're a K-State fan. How much does it pain you to see Kansas actually be a team that can line up on the field?
Yeah, you're talking about double-digit favorites off 2 double-digit losses. Now it's a double-digit favorite. KU's off 2 double-digit back-to-back wins, and now maybe laying just a little too much at home.
Well, how about this? Since 2012, teams off back-to-back straight-up wins as an underdog, like Kansas is. I didn't go into double digits because there weren't enough sample size. But just if you take a team that's off back-to-back upsets wins, and now they're a small home favorite, -1 to -8. So you're not a double-digit favorite. You're in that role like Kansas is against Duke, 17-5, 77.3%. So, history has shown that teams that do pull those upsets and are the better team at home have done well. I've got a couple more for you to finish. You're 3-0 and you're a home dog of a touchdown or more. Could be that you're playing a great team. Could be that you played some weak opponents. We're talking about Wake Forest and Rutgers in the role. 3-0 teams as a home dog of 7 or more. It's only happened 28 times since 1994. They have gone 19-9, 68% against the spread. Looking at another 3-0 situation. 3-0 teams versus 0-3 teams since 2015. That record, the 3-0 team against an 0-3 team, doesn't matter if they're home, away, a favorite, or a dog, has only gone 10-16, 38.5%. You're looking at Coastal and UCLA in that 38.5% ATS roll. And the final one, how low can you go on these totals? Iowa and Rutgers, pretty much 34.5 across the board. One place has it at 33.5. This is the lowest total in the database, an FBS team, since 2006. So going all the way back to 2006, no total has been this low in college football. When I look at college football totals with an FBS team against an FBS team with a total of 37.5 or less, 4 overs, 20 unders, and 1 push, that is 16.7%. So guys, when these line makers make a total that low, it's that low for a reason. Totals of 37.5 or less, 16.7% to the over. That means 83.3% of those games have gone under the Vegas total.
That's just absolutely crazy, Ralph. I know Drew Martin Betts and I were talking about that one. How low can you go is right. Ralph, with a rare 5% play in college this weekend and a 5% play in the NFL, he's giving you a 3-day all-access code, RM20, to get $20 off. Ralph, thank you so much, and we'll see you over on the NFL show.
You're a winner at Wager Talk even before the game is played with our Wager Rewards program. How does it work? Simple. Earn wager rewards on every purchase made at Wager Talk and Sports Memo. Those wager rewards can be converted into wager bucks on the first of every month. There is no additional fee to participate, and no additional details are required outside your valid Wager Talk or Sports Memo membership. On the first of each month, 5% of your wager rewards will be converted to wager bucks, which are available to purchase on all future purchases. Doesn't it feel good to be part of a rewards program with no additional hoops?
Welcome back to Bet On It. And while the dogs have not been barking for me in college football, let's hope they're barking this weekend. Marco D'Angelo, who do you think has the best chance to win outright this weekend in college football?
Well, Kelly, this is a big number, but I'm going to go ahead and take the Florida Gators. And I'll tell you, I'm really kicking myself that I didn't use this one last week. This one fit the old sandwich spot, is they were coming off that Kentucky game, and they had Tennessee on deck. Talk about a sandwich. And the only thing that kept me off it last week was the fact that they did lose to Kentucky. That would have been an absolute play had they beaten Kentucky and then had Tennessee on deck. But they were flat as a pancake last week, as you well know, because you were there. I am looking at this team going into Tennessee. We talk about teams where the stock is as high as it can be. In Tennessee, well, they hung up 63 last week in a 63-6 win over Akron. Is just everybody taking a turn beating the snot out of MAC schools so far. I don't think there's been a MAC school close in a game that I've seen. But what I'm looking at with this Tennessee team, the other big game that they won, they beat Ball State, another MAC team, 59-10. So, yeah, they can dominate the MAC, but we look at the game against Pitt in the middle, and although they did beat Pitt, and Pitt was a top 25 team, couple notes from that game. When they beat Pitt 34-27, Pitt lost their starting quarterback, Slovis, in that game. Not only did they lose him, but late in the fourth quarter, the final two drives, the backup, Patty, for Pitt, had to limp around the field. I was waiting for them to carry him down the field like Byron Leftwich they did in that Marshall game. He was limping around. They had no other alternative. They kept him in there, and Pitt still was able to send that game to overtime. It was a 34-27 final. I'm not sold on the Tennessee defense, and I think Florida's going to be able to exploit it. I think we're getting a inflated number due to last week's results with the close scare with Florida and Tennessee in another romp. You know what? Tennessee a little fat and sassy, laying double digits? I don't think so. Give me Florida to pull the upset, 31-28, Florida.
Marco, I love to hear that, and I apologize in my celebrations at the Swamp. I did not give you credit for the sandwich game. I'm standing there and with my buddy and my dad, and I'm like, all right, what are we going to bet on this game? And I was like, oh my God, it's a Marco sandwich spot, and USF got it done. And I even said, I go, listen, I'm wearing orange and blue. I can't wait to bet on the Gators next week. So I am with you. They are going to make my 3-team money line parlay. Joe, maybe you've got another leg that we have something in common here.
Wait, didn't Anthony Richardson win the Heisman already? Because I thought after that game against Utah, that was it, right? Like, he won the Heisman, it's over, like, stick a... Jesus, people, everyone settled down.
That's why I was on Kentucky the week prior. Kentucky's basically been my only saving grace this football season. Florida. As Marco mentioned, I had Slovis almost get decapitated, and I just had it's been one of those rough years. If I haven't had bad luck, I have no luck at all.
All right, here's a quarterback for you guys absolutely need to pay attention to. Riley Leonard. Who is he? Yeah, he's the Duke quarterback, and that's exactly where I am looking at. You want to talk about overreaction, people. This dog is barking, it's squealing, it lifted its leg. Like, are you kidding me here? Hanging, like, how much more Kansas crap do I have to hear about how great this? It's Kansas. Like, are you people serious? Now, granted, I know there was a lot of talk about Kansas being an improved team this year. Absolutely. And I get it. They are much more improved under Lance Leopold. And enjoy him now, by the way, because he will be in Lincoln probably by the end of the year. But that's a different story. I'm just telling you right now, I love Kansas. They're 3-0. They've come off consecutive, double-digit road underdogs win. West Virginia and Houston, they are very much improved. But people, there is no reason that you should be more than a touchdown favorite against another team. You know what? Pretty damn good, not getting any credit whatsoever, and that is the Duke Blue Devils. And not to mention, some of the stats with Kansas, guys, they're not sustainable. Do you know what they are on third down conversions right now so far this season? 69%. Do you really think they're going to continue to convert 69% of their third down opportunities? Do you think their defense is going to continue to score points, touchdown, 2 touchdowns? They had a couple of touchdowns against Houston, which made that game, of course, seem so much worse than what it really was. The bottom line is this kid, Riley Leonard, and this Duke offense, very, very good. Every bit as good as what we've seen from Kansas. And oh yeah, by the way, their defense, yeah, they're pretty damn good too as well. So if you didn't notice the game against Northwestern that they played, if you didn't notice what that offense did against a pretty darn good Temple defense, yeah, you're going to learn a little bit about Duke here this weekend. I love Kansas, but there is absolutely no way they should be more than a touchdown favorite over the Duke Blue Devils, who everyone had pegged for winning, 3-4 games this year? Yeah, no, it's a lot closer than that. So give me the 7.5. I'm going with Duke, and you better sprinkle a little something on that money line, Cal, because Duke, they could get it done against KU.
I would only hope so. My problem is all of the stats and data I have against KU feels a little irrelevant this year. Unfortunately, you mentioned that team defensively on third down conversions. I can promise you this. Even though K-State lost to Tulane this week, mark my words, K-State will cover against this Jayhawks team. I think it's the week before my birthday, but I got to double check that. Joe, I'm going to kick it back to you. And for the Joe Public, fade Joe Public game of the week, if you will.
Yes, I love the fading myself here. Fading Joe. That's what Joe's going to do. Joe Public, that is. And I'm going to take a look at Ole Miss, a 3-touchdown favorite over Tulsa, right? And the public's looking at this going, oh, there's no way Tulsa is going to hang out with Ole Miss. It can't be. I mean, what? 80% of the tickets already hanging out on Ole Miss as a 3-touchdown favorite? Yeah, well, let me explain something to you here. The Golden Hurricanes, one of the best, if not the best, passing offense statistically in the country. Over 413 yards a game. This quarterback, Davis Brin, guys, he's throwing it all over the place. He's completing 64% of his passes, which is great. But let me explain to you what's going to happen here. Ole Miss, yeah, they've got a pretty big game that's going to matter coming up. It's a bit of a sandwich spot for them, but there's no way 21.5 points over 3 touchdowns is what they should be laying here, given the fact that they've got their SEC opener against Kentucky on deck. And oh yeah, by the way, Tulsa, since 2019, guys, 11-1 as an away dog in this spot right now. I love this kid, Davis Brin. 11 touchdowns to 1 INT. The goal of Ole Miss here is going to be get the hell out of this game, get the W, and get out with any injuries as we await Kentucky to start the SEC schedule. I don't think so. I'm going Tulsa here, who beat, by the way, Mississippi State a couple of years ago in the Armed Forces Bowl, out past them, and you know what that team is like. So I think they're going to have some success against this Mississippi team too, Ole Miss. So give me the 3 touchdowns, 21-21.5. It's not going to be that much of a rout here for Ole Miss.
I like that look ahead spot there for the Rebs. Marco, speaking of look ahead spots, you mentioned that you missed a sandwich spot last week,
Ooh.
but the deli, is it back open this week?
No, Kelly, we're heading to the trap game this week.
Ooh.
It's actually a trap this week for college, and we are sending it to USC at Oregon State. Yeah, I know I got, steamrolled by USC last week as they dismantled Fresno State. But you know what? That's what actually sets this play up. Because if you remember, Fresno State the week before played this very same Oregon State team. And the two of them went up and down the field. It was a game that Fresno State should have won, but somehow at the end, Oregon State was the team that got the final score and won that game. Now, everybody's going to look at this, and I like to refer to John Q. Public or Joe Public, whichever you like. They're going to look and say, hey, if USC dismantled Fresno State and Fresno State and Oregon State went back and forth with each other, then USC should take care of business here against Oregon State too. Not so fast, and there's a couple reasons. One, Oregon State is going to run the football right at USC. Now, USC's put up some big numbers so far. The defense on paper looks to be good. They haven't given up 14 and 17. 2 of the 3 games. Stanford did get 28 points against them. A couple scores in garbage time. But Oregon State is the best running team that they will have faced so far. And I think they're going to be able to go right at USC and keep that offense off the field. What's the best defense? A good offense. You've got a high-flying offense like USC. You can frustrate a team like that if you can stay on the field for long periods of time. And I think Oregon State can do that. But Oregon State, they're not a one-trick pony. They can throw the football as well. And the run game sets that passing game up for them. A lot of stuff off of misdirection and play action. So I'm going to take the live home dog here. Now, I say it was a trap game. Why am I talking trap? Well, as good as USC has looked so far, Vegas started this game. They hung the game up at 6.5. And I always look at games whenever it's the 6.5 or 7.5, or it's a 2.5 and it's a 3.5. And I always said, why don't they just hang it up right on the number? Make it a field goal, make it a 7, let the public decide where it should go. But when they hang it on one side of the fence, to me, they're asking you to take what looks easier to take. And obviously, if it's a 6.5, they want you to take the favorite. And I'm not buying it. I'm going ahead and I'm taking Oregon State here plus the points. And let's not forget, as good as USC has been, they have been the beneficiary of plus 10 in the turnover department. 2 more last week, 10-0 on the turnover ratio for USC. That's going to make anybody look better than they are. Oregon State, it's a conference home dog. I know Kelly likes those. I'm liking one a lot this week. Give me the trap game, Oregon State.
Marco, not that it matters. It really doesn't. It kind of does, but it doesn't. If I bet against USC for the 3rd time in a row in my parlay, the Trojan fans just may hate me forever. I am with you. I think that is too many points. And if you remember, I was on those Beavers last year in the Coliseum to get the win, and they routed USC. That probably will keep me off them putting in my parlay just because of the revenge factor, but I agree with you. The points look very appetizing. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, it's time for those best bets.
Ready to take your favorite Wager Talk handicappers wherever you travel this football season? The Wager Talk TV app is now live for phones, tablets, smart TVs, and streaming platforms. Tune into your favorite shows like Wager Talk Today, Bet On It, and the Opening Line Report. Plus, browse through our extensive library of sports betting tips. Create your personal playlist of betting tip videos to help you prepare for the upcoming season, and set notifications to alert you when new content is added. Download the app for Apple, Android, Amazon, and Roku devices by searching for Wager Talk TV, or scan the QR code on your screen to join the winning conversation today.
Welcome back to Bet On It. It is now time for those best bets. Mark already gave mine away. I guess I should really read his rundowns and try to pivot from there, but I like when we agree. As he mentioned in the sandwich segment, as he mentioned in this game, this was a setup perfectly for Florida. I bet Kentucky 2 weeks ago. I was in the swamp over the weekend and took USF. Why? All because they lost that Kentucky game twice. The Florida Gators, 16-1 against the spread in their last 17 games with Tennessee. Tennessee as a double-digit favorite? I cannot believe you guys wrote off Anthony Richardson that fast. I'm not buying the hype. Florida, 14-2 straight up in the series when Tennessee is coming off a win of 10 or more. And of course they did. As Marco mentioned, they played Akron. Give me a break. I bet against this Tennessee team 2 weeks ago, and they tried to kill Kellen Slovis. And now we're coming back for the kill shot of our own Florida Gators. Florida on the money line. Marco, D'Angelo, who is your best bet for week 4 of college football?
Well, Kelly, I'm going to a game that I'm kicking myself. Another game I had on the sandwich contender list last week, but I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to make you angry with me going against Kansas State. I didn't want to make myself angry because I have a season win total on Kansas State for the over, and they were very good to me the week before as my 5% play when they dismantled Missouri. But you had the perfect sandwich. They came off that 40-12 rout of Missouri. They were playing Tulane. Are you really going to take Tulane serious when you got Oklahoma on deck? Yeah, they lost outright as a 13-point favorite. That didn't make me happy, Kelly, with that season win total, but I should have cashed a ticket with the road dog last week. But I'm not going to miss the road dog this week. I'm back on Kansas State. And I'll tell you what, Chris Kleiman, he has done a good job against Oklahoma. That was against Lincoln Riley. I'm hoping he still does well against Oklahoma here because I think the hype is too much on Oklahoma. Yeah, they've won big. They blew out Texas El Paso. So what? They blew out, another MAC school got the snot kicked out of them, 33-3. And then the game that's going to have everybody run into the Oklahoma side is last week's absolute destruction, an embarrassment to Nebraska, 49-14. I tell you what, if you watched the sidelines, you watched Oklahoma, they were enjoying that just a little bit too much. And you know what? Nebraska, that is a dumpster fire right now. They fired the coach at the beginning of the week before the Oklahoma game last week. Team is in just total disarray. I am not buying this Oklahoma team being as good as they've looked the first 3 weeks. They haven't faced a good team, a sound team, a well-coached team. I think that's what they get here this week. Kansas State will be able to run the football, keep Oklahoma off the field, slow them down. And the only X factor is Adrian Martinez. Is he going to have a clean game? Well, if you remember last year, when he was at Nebraska, they almost beat Oklahoma in Oklahoma. So he shouldn't be intimidated by the Sooners in this game. Give me Kansas State plus the points. I have this one going down to a field goal, deciding it at the end. Kelly, let's get that season win total. Let's pull the upset. Let's go. Kansas State, 31-28. Let's do it.
Woo! Marco, there's just so much I could say here. Let's just say, I hope you're right. Joe Raineri, college football week 4, best bet, you're up.
That is so not promising, Marco. She's like, there is so much I want to say about K-State.
You guys want content? Best bets. I'm about to ruin the best bet segment. Colin Klein, what kind of garbage play calling was that last week?
Yes.
Who in the hell decided that we were going to kick field goals against a Tulane team? We should be throwing the ball down the field. I watched 0 seconds of this game.
Yes.
I watched 0 seconds of it. It wasn't even on TV at the freaking Hillbilly Bar. I was outside of Gainesville. And I can tell you exactly how they lost this game. Absolutely unacceptable. I was promised more. I was promised. They fired Courtney Messingham after that Texas game. I walked right up to our athletic director after way too many high noons. And I said, he goes, I'm sorry you didn't get the birthday wish you wanted. I said, here's the birthday wish I want. They said, guess what? We're going to bring in Colin Klein. I said, okay, let's see what he can do against a broken LSU team. And I thought we were going to get something different. You know what? We haven't got anything different. We beat up on a South Dakota team and a crappy Missouri team. Marco, I hope you're right, because the last time that we won in Norman was in 2013, and I had an 85-1 parlay. Ooh. So, listen, I agree with everything you said. I just need them to actually implement that in real time, because I know what K-State has the ability to do. And yes, I'm pissed off about the over 6.5 wins, because the Tulane game was supposed to be one of those wins.
Whew, that escalated quickly, Marco. I'm not going to lie, man. I didn't see it. I didn't see that coming, man.
Look how red I'm getting. The fire inside my soul was getting ready to erupt, and I was going to do it all again, but Joe wanted to hear it, and I got that.
Absolutely. I didn't expect that. All right, guys, 2 best bets here. We're going to go with, I had a hard time between these two, so I'll give them both to you here. I'm going to go San Jose State Spartans over Western Michigan. It's a revenge spot. And why in the hell are they flying out west? It's such a weird scheduling spot, too, as well. So keep that in mind, San Jose State. I was this close to making that the best bet here. But I'm going to go with the game that involves the team we won last week's best bet with, and that is the UNLV Rebels, who handled North Texas. Marco, I'm not sure if you caught that game there, but yes, UNLV destroyed North Texas over there for our best bet. But here's the problem. Now they're a favorite on the road. First time since 2011. Are you people kidding me? Now, granted, I love what Coach Arroyo's done. I love this UNLV Rebels team. I love the slot machine turnover thing. I love it. I love it. They're heading in the right direction. But you're telling me Now, all of a sudden, UNLV is a road favorite right now for the first time since week 12 of 2017. In fact, they've only been, let's see here, since 2011, they've only been road chalk 6 times. Since 2011, this is not a spot UNLV is used to being in here. And oh yeah, by the way, yeah, I get it. Utah State and Blake Anderson have had better days. It's been a rough start to the season, but I don't see anybody else running to play Alabama. The check was big enough in order to do it. They've had a week off. That last game of theirs in which they lost to Weber State, yes, terrible. I get it. But now they're home. They've had a week off to wash that off, and they will be ready for UNLV here. So I can't bet on a team that has only been, a road favorite once since 2011, and now all of a sudden they find them in a spot. Don't buy it. I like Utah State. I like Blake Anderson, 6-2 as an underdog since taking over at Utah State. Give me them to get it done. +2.5, +3. I think Utah State upends what's going to be a really good season for the UNLV Rebels. It just ain't going to end with a win this Saturday, Cal.
Joe coming in hot with a double header there. We're going to take our last commercial break, and then it's time for the recap.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both wagertalk.com and sportsmemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
We're going to make this easy for you guys. Scroll all the way to the end just to see this graphic. That's right. Arkansas at A&M on Saturday night. Marco and I say we lean towards the Aggies. Joe likes the over first half. Speaking of first halves, he also likes the under first half in the Buckeye State as the Badgers take on the Buckeyes. Marco says, yeah, he likes that first half under as well, but he also likes the game under. On to Barking Dogs. We've got Duke +7.5 because Joe's trying to suck up to me this week. But Marco and I have Florida +10.5. And of course, with these Barking Dogs, don't forget to sprinkle some of that on the money line. Fade Joe public. Joe thinks that the Ole Miss Rebels might be looking ahead. Take Tulsa +21.5. And the Deli got condemned, even though Marco won NC State -10 last week. I said, it's time to go. We don't have enough time to be making sandwiches. We got to be picking winners. So he came up with the trap game, Oregon State +6.5. And then he came back with a best bet that I just kind of lost it on. So Marco, apologies. K-State +13. Joe had some San Jose State as well as some Utah State there as a dual best bet. And my best bet is the Florida Gators +10.5. And they will make my money line parlay this week. As every week, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Ralph, Marco, Joe, and myself. Until next Wednesday for college football, let's bet on it.